Hi, my name is Liz and I run Ma Baker. Ma Baker is a micro-bakery set in central London where I bake, sell and deliver bread to the good people of SW6. I also run a range of bread classes including sourdough. So what is sourdough bread? Sourdough bread is a bread that is made just with flour, water and salt, and it's been made that way for thousands of years. In order to make your own sourdough bread, you have to have a starter. This is my starter. I made this about 7 years ago. The contents are not 7 years old because I'm constantly taking stuff out and adding stuff to it. But this is the yeast that creates the rise in your sourdough bread. And today I'm going to teach you how you can make one of these sourdough starters so that you could join me on one of my sourdough classes. So what do you need to make a starter? You just need flour and water and a jar to put your starter in. I'm using rye flour today because I think it is the most reliable and robust of grains. If you're finding it difficult to get hold of rye flour, you can also use wholemeal. You also need an empty jar of some sort. It doesn't have to be particularly big or anything, but this sort of size is totally fine because your starter is never going to be bigger than this. So what I want you to do is you're going to take your jar, pop it onto your scales, reset your scales down to 0. Then what I want you to do is to take 20 grams of rye flour and put it into your jar. Once you've got 20 grams in there, then I want you to add 20 grams of water. Once you've got your 20 flour and 20 water in there, take a spoon and mix that together. And you'll mix it together and it kind of turns into like a sludgy, like a really kind of thick porridge, if you like. Quite sturdy looking, not much else going on in there, but make sure all of that flour is hydrated, kind of push down from the sides, and then you're going to leave that jar for 24 hours. So put the lid on loosely on your jar, leave your jar on the counter at room temperature, and in 24 hours we're going to come back to our jar and we're going to give it another feed. So we're now coming to our starter 24 hours later. So it's sat on the counter for 24 hours and we visit our starter and we have a look at it. It smells slightly fruity, it's looking kind of thick and a bit sludgy. There's no bubble activity, but I'm not expecting bubble activity at this stage. So then what I want you to do is put that starter onto your scales, reset to 0, and then you're going to put in 20 grams of rye flour into your pot. And then you're going to add 20 grams of water and then you're going to mix again. So take your spoon and mix that in. It will feel quite stiff at first and then you start mixing and you can see that water and that flour will mix together and it's making much more of the same porridgey look to it, same thick gloopiness to it, and then it's all nice and mixed. And then you're going to put your lid on loosely on your day 2 starter, put it to one side, and we'll visit it again in 24 hours. Okay, so it's now day 3. Let's look at our day 3 starter. And when I look at it now, you can see there's lots of bubble activities going on in the jar. It's kind of looking nice and active now. It's not such a sludge as it was in the first couple of days. It's got kind of a nice sort of slightly vinegary, slightly acid smell, but not too strong. So now what we're going to do on day 3 is exactly what we've done on day 1 and day 2. Jar goes back onto the scales, reset the scales back to 0, and then you're going to add your 20 grams of rye flour and your 20 grams of water. So 20 grams of flour again into your pot. And then you're going to add 20 grams of water. and then it's mix. This time it should be easier to mix. It's not so stiff as it has been in the previous 2 days. You can see it's kind of smoother, slightly silkier, slightly wetter. Nice mix. Make sure everything is hydrated and that all of that lovely yeast is suddenly getting a nice big feed. Loose lid, leave the jar on the counter, and we'll come back and see it in 24 hours from now. Day 4. This is getting exciting now because we've got a nice, lovely, bubbly starter. What I want you to get today though is a container, some sort of Tupperware container or something, because what we're going to do is take out some of our starter and it will be known as our discard, and we're going to put it into this container. And we're going to leave this container of discard in the fridge. And each time you come to feed your starter from now on, you're going to take out some of your starter and you're going to put it into here. But don't throw this out. This is liquid gold, and I'm going to show you many things that you can do with your discard starter. And as a result of discarding, it means you'll have a lovely, lively starter. So day 4, let's have a look at our starter. Lots of bubbles, lots of activity going on in there. That yeast is having a marvellous time. This time it smells slightly, there's a bit more acid notes going on there, a little bit more fruity, lots of sort of activity going on in there, but the main activity you can see through the glass. It is really, really active and very, very alive. So we've had success. Lovely. Okay, so what I want you to do is discard most of it. So take your container, your discard container, open the lid, and what I want you to do is take out most of that starter. Can you see how lovely and active it is with lots of bubbles going on in there? Really, really active. So all that I want left in your jar is just about a tablespoon of starter. It's not a huge amount, and then I want you to put that onto your scales, and then you're going to do it again. 20 grams of rye flour, and then 20 grams of water. And then you're going to take your spoon and give that a really good mix. Your starter is now well on the way to you making your first loaf of sourdough bread. So in about 8 hours from now, you'll be able to start your sourdough journey. If you want help from me, please visit my website, marbaker.london, for more details.